This is Matador News, and these are today's headlines. Texas residents are expected to evacuate due to heavy rain. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo presses Saudi leaders on the disappearance of Washington Post journalists. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are expecting a bundle of joy while accepting a pair of Uggs.
Hello, and welcome to Matador News. I'm Veronica Barriga.
And I'm Byron Gonzalez. Southern California experiences its first Santa Ana winds of the season. The winds have caused power outages, trees have fallen down, and the fire crews are on high alert. A woman in Orange County was killed by a fallen tree yesterday morning. The National Weather Service is issuing red flag warnings and high wind advisories for Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties. Strong winds, low humidity, and warmer temperatures are expected today and through the evening. As the first Santa Ana winds of the season fly through, Los Angeles County Fire is placing strike teams in 3 high fire hazard areas: Santa Clarita, Agora Hills, and La Cañada Flint Ridge.
After a 132-year run, Sears is filing for bankruptcy.
Sears has been dying for many years. It's been obviously improperly run for many years, and it's a shame.
In an era dominated by online shopping, Sears now joins other brick-and-mortar stores who are struggling. Sears owes $134 million, which the company is unable to pay. The retailer says it will close over 188 stores within the next year. Since the announcement, Sears CEO Eddie Lambert has stepped down, saying he hopes the bankruptcy filing will allow the company to shed debt and become profitable and competitive. Other retailers like Toys R Us, Radio Shack, and Sports Authority have suffered similar setbacks and were unable to fully recover. When it first opened in the 1890s, Sears was an innovator in mail-order shopping and revolutionized the ways Americans made purchases.
Los Angeles City Councilman and CSUN Representative Mitchell Englander announces he will soon step down. He is planning to join a sports and entertainment firm. The announcement comes as a big surprise to those who attended his fundraising event the night before. The event was priced at $800. It was used to raise money to fund food, travel, office supplies, and community events for city politicians. He says any money left over at the end of the year will go to charity. Former city councilwoman Ruth Galanter says it looks like he's squeezing the last drop of donation money he can get before he leaves. This morning, Englander sent out letters to donors offering refunds to anyone who requests them.
The death tolls are rising as several states recover from the damage Hurricane Michael has caused. The storm has claimed the lives of 19 people so far, affecting areas like Virginia, Georgia, and the badly hit Mexico Beach, Florida. 3 days ago, the hurricane hit the Gulf Coast and inland areas with 155-mile-per-hour winds and vicious storms. The hurricane has damaged an unknown number of homes and building structures, leaving over 700,000 people without power in 6 states. Florida Governor Rick Scott visited the damaged areas on Saturday. President Trump and the First Lady visited the area yesterday.
Vice President Mike Pence visits Southwest Georgia today. He is there to observe the damage Hurricane Michael left to farmers and their crops. Pence says the hurricane caused an estimated $2 billion in damages to the state's cotton, pecan, and peanut crops. His visits includes the Sun Belt Agricultural Expo in Montreal. He will also talk to Bainbridge farmers who suffered crops losses due to the hurricane. Pence promises to continue to deploy manpower and resources of the federal government to the region until it is able to recover.
Heavy rains have prompted evacuations and water rescues in central Texas. The Llano River Bridge in Kingsland collapsed this morning after the river flooded. The river is 18 feet above the major flood stage. The city is asking several neighborhoods along the river to evacuate. They are also asking residents to limit water use. Officials say as much as 10 inches of rain has fallen in western Llano County. Forecasters are describing the floods as a very dangerous situation.
A group of 1,600 Hondurans are heading toward the American border. President Trump tweeted in response to news reports, "The United States has strongly informed the president of Honduras that if the large caravan of people heading to the U.S. is not stopped and brought back to Honduras, no more money or aid will be given to Honduras, effective immediately." Members of the caravan say they are fleeing poverty and violence in Honduras in search of a better life in America. The United States Agency for International Development says the U.S. gave $175 million in aid to Honduras in 2017.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo meets with King Salman and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia to discuss the disappearance of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Khashoggi lived in the U.S. and disappeared at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. The Turkish government says he was drugged, killed, and dismembered inside the consulate. Saudi officials have denied direct involvement. The case is causing tensions among Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the United States. Trump said there will be severe punishment if the Saudis were involved in the killing of Khashoggi. He also says he does not want to affect arms sales in the Middle East. During his meeting with King Salman, Pompeo thanked the king for supporting a thorough and transparent investigation into Jamal Khashoggi's disappearance. Khashoggi has been missing since October 2nd. His 60th birthday was on Saturday.
Now let's go to the newsroom with Matador news reporter Ethan Hanson on the upcoming midterm elections.
The midterm elections are just 3 weeks away, and Republicans hold the majority in both the Senate and House of Representatives. CSUN political science professor Martin Saiz says it's important to vote in the upcoming elections.
People should always vote because it's your responsibility as a citizen. Not only that, it's in your self-interest to vote. If you don't vote, then your voice isn't counted, and if it's not counted, then you don't get your preferences met.
The Center for Information and Research on Civic Learning and Engagement says just 46% of millennials voted in the 2016 presidential election, the lowest of any age group. We talked to students about whether the youth will be more active.
For sure feel that not enough people are actively participating in the voting and kind of keeping up with politics and what's going on.
Voting is just just like a civic duty. It's something that you really should view as a requirement. Because these people are going to represent you. And so, I mean, like I said, to me, it's just something that shouldn't even be an option.
Well, I feel like young people have a lot of opinions, but they don't vote often enough. So I feel like registering is very important, especially now since like the Brett Kavanaugh thing, since that's happening.
Students can register to vote until October 22nd. And now, here's Natalia Vivino with the latest on business.
Investors may have reason to celebrate, at least today. Stocks increased along with U.S. bond prices today. Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley have the strongest earning reports. The budget shortfall for the 2018 fiscal year rose 17% from $600 billion to $779 billion, meaning Americans could see a rise in interest rates. The shortfall stems from the 2017 tax cut package. It reduced levies on corporations through government borrowing, improving profits and speeding up economic growth. Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen has died. Allen's family says the cause was complications with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. As a co-founder of the software giant, Allen was a major contributor in pushing the personal computing revolution. Vulcan CEO Bill Hilf says Allen had a strong vision.
One of the great joys of working with Paul is that breadth and diversity of how many things he wanted to have an impact on and how big he thought about impact.
Allen partnered with Bill Gates in their teenage years in Seattle. He left Microsoft shortly after learning he had Hodgkin's lymphoma. And now here's Demothy Tien with the latest on health.
Trump signs 2 bills aiming to help Americans understand prescription drug pricing. These bills inform consumers of their price options and whether a medication could cost less with insurance or by paying out of pocket. Some pharmaceutical industry experts say consumer transparency is a step forward, but it does not address the issue of lowering actual drug costs. A flea-borne bacterial disease known as typhus has hit the Los Angeles area. Experts say rats carrying fleas are the cause for the rise in the outbreak. The disease has particularly impacted the homeless population in downtown Skid Row. But the outbreak has expanded to as many as 92 cases, including 20 in Pasadena and 18 in Long Beach. The health department says typhus is contracted when the feces of infected fleas are rubbed into open cuts in the skin. It can be deadly if not treated with antibiotics, though Mayor Garcetti has set aside $300,000 for trash cleanup programs. The Board of Supervisors will meet today trying to find more solutions. A new study published in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences says mental health is linked to climate change. The study says an increase in temperatures is tied to an increase in mental health issues. Researchers say they don't know the exact cause, but they believe it could be related to poor sleep from hot temperatures. And now, let's go to Matador News reporter Sydney Gamino in Studio B with more on climate change increasing the price of beer.
Climate change is not only raising the temperatures, it's raising the price of beer too. A study says the cost of beer could double because of the price of malted barley. Barley is a key ingredient in beer, but it's hard to grow under hot and dry conditions. Beer drinkers say they understand how climate change affects both the beer and the environment.
It affects the environment, and the environment is where yeast is grown to sit up here and manufacture beer. So if that environment area is impacted by the climate change, it could also drive the cost of beer up.
Although not everyone drinks beer, almost everyone cares about the climate change.
The people who consume more alcohol, it's something that they should be aware of so they know if they are willing to pay a higher price for it, or if they are basically gonna get to know more about the climate change and have their own opinion.
The study published in the journal Nature Plants says change will come within several years. This gives beer lovers the time to either find a new way to change the environment or find a new drink. And now back to the newsroom with Natalia on the latest on entertainment.
England's royal couple, Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle, have received their first baby gift in Sydney. Australia's Governor-General Sir Peter Cosgrove and his wife Lynn presented the couple with a toy kangaroo and a pair of Ugg boots. The announcement was made during a royal visit to Australia. The baby is expected in spring. A spin-off of the show Roseanne, titled The Conners, is set to air for the first time tonight. Roseanne Barr was fired due to a racist tweet, but the show will continue without her. Remaining members of the Connor family will adjust to her absence. Roseanne has said in interviews that her character on the show will die. The show premieres tonight at 8 o'clock. And now back to Demothy with sports.
The Dodgers fell to the Milwaukee Brewers last night in Game 3 of the National League Championship Series 4-0. Walker Buehler of the Dodgers had a solid outing, but gave up an early 1-0 lead out of the gate. He would surrender 3 more runs on the night. The Dodgers made it interesting in the bottom of the 9th with the bases loaded, but Brian Dozier struck out. The Dodgers trailed the Brewers 2-1 in a best-of-7 series. Game 4 is tonight at 6. CSUN's club sports are one of the best offered in the nation. Matador News reporter Solomon Ladvienka has more in Studio B.
Thank you, Demothy. I'm pleased to have JP Gale, the sports club manager, associated students here at CSUN, and a current coach on the CSUN Ice Hockey's Hockey Club. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing well, thank you. Club sports are overlooked here at CSUN. In your position, what can the school do to promote these club sports? Because honestly, I know several people who do not know that we have a hockey club here.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that statement. I think this year we had almost 2,000 students sign up for club sport tryouts. We had over 1,300 actually try out in the first month of the semester. I think part of the problem is when you have off-campus sports, people don't get to see it in person, and so they're so consumed with their phones and looking at what's in their screen, they're not seeing the signs around campus. So maybe we need to spend a little bit more time on our social media marketing.
Absolutely. Now, your team is the two-time defending West Coast Hockey Conference champions. What is the mindset of the team as the season just got underway?
The club officers and captains kind of led a team meeting, and they felt that we can qualify for regionals not just by winning our conference championship, but by trying to get a top 10 seed at regionals. We've basically trounced everybody we've played in California thus far, so we go to Arizona this weekend to play last year's #1 team, Northern Arizona, and a regional qualifier in Grand Canyon University. So we're going to get a test real quick here and see what we're capable of.
Good. The team will host the University of San Diego and Long Beach State next weekend. CSUN plays their home games at Simi Valley's Isoplex. JP, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me, Solomon.
Now let's go back to the studio.
Apple fixes its latest emoji scandal. With its latest ISO update, Apple's bagel emoji now features cream cheese and better-looking bagel bread. When Apple first released the ISO update, the bagel did not include cream cheese. The internet exploded on social media, with posters naming the scandal #BagelGate. The change comes after Philadelphia, the cream cheese company, posted a petition to change the emoji and got 30,000 electronic signatures. Lo and behold, Apple introduces a bagel the internet needs and deserves.
Now let's go to Matador News reporter Angela Bickman with the weather.
Good afternoon. The first Santa Ana winds of the season are here. Yesterday, the winds hit Southern California, causing thousands of residents to be without power. Trees toppled onto houses, power lines, and even onto cars. A wind advisory remains in effect through this evening, as well as a red flag warning. Here in Northridge, we have a high of 85 degrees and a low of 59, with wind being up to 15 miles per hour. That's it for the weather. Now back to the studio.
Thanks for watching Matador News. I'm Veronica Barriga.
I'm Byron Gonzalez.
I'm Demothy Tien.
And I'm Natalia Vivino.
Yeah. That came up so quick.